And we can see your screen. I think you're ready to go.
Awesome. All right, guys. So I am just going to share today some of the tools that I use to help tell the school story at Lakewood Elementary, which is where I have been principal for about 10 years. And if you have any questions after the session, feel free to send me an email at shelly.clark@harding.kyschools.us there. And this little quote is from a book that I had read on digital leadership, which is, "We don't have a choice on whether we do social media. The question is how well we do it." That really hit home with me several years ago about having a social media page for the school. I know I've talked to a lot of other leaders, and the question is whether you want to deal with having a social media presence or not. But at this point in the time that we live in, it's really key that you're the one telling your school story and it's not someone else telling it for you. So if you haven't taken a step to have an active presence on social media, I'm going to give you some tips and tools today to maybe make it a little bit easier to manage. I'm not going to say that it's ever going to be easy, because running social media for your school is something that takes time and effort. But hopefully you'll give it that time and effort to be able to tell your school story on social media. So the most important and first step is to know your audience. Know what social media platforms your school community is on. So when there's a lot of choices out there. Obviously, you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, you've got Twitter, you've got TikTok, you've got YouTube. There's just so many different platforms, and you need to find the one that your school community uses the most and really just try to focus on those. Don't try to do every single platform, or you'll drive yourself nuts. The best way to figure that out is to use the analytics and insights that come with the programs and the social media programs that you're going to use. So at our school, our two most popular platforms are Facebook School, which is, if you don't know what Class Dojo is, it's kind of like your own school little social media page. That's like a closed social media, so people from the outside can't see what's on there unless they're a member of that community. The insights for Class Dojo, there's a picture of those on the top screen there in front of you. They come to your email weekly, and as the school leader of Class Dojo, and you can see exactly how many messages were sent that week, how many pictures were shared, how many stories were shared, how many skills were celebrated in the classrooms. And so you get a weekly report of your whole school with Class Dojo, and that gives you those insights so you can make sure that that program is doing for you what you want it to do. If you ever get a report, if you start getting reports where you don't have high numbers on there, then it's time to look at that and say, I don't know if this is worth our time anymore. But right now it's our primary communication source with parents, and then our secondary one, of course, right now is Facebook. So we're going to jump on good old Facebook here for just a second, and we're going to go to the business suite as soon as that loads up. It might take it a few seconds. And when you're on Facebook, and we're going to go to Lakewood Elementary's page right here, maybe. There it is. And we're inside the business suite. And once you're inside that business suite, you'll be able to find those insights for your Facebook page, and it'll tell you exactly how many hits you're getting for different kinds of posts, how many followers you have, the posts that get the, so you can go to content and you can see what kind of posts get the most reactions and shares and that kind of thing. So this is information that it's overwhelming if you look at it all the time, but occasionally it's good just to pop in on it and say, how many people are actually looking at this stuff, and what are they looking at more? And when I look at mine occasionally, what I find is people don't look at posts that don't have an image with them. And I think we could all probably say that even when you're scrolling through your personal Facebook, if somebody's got like a big paragraph long rant about something that they really care about, if it doesn't have a picture to go with it, you're probably not going to sit there and read it all. But if it has a picture, it might grab your attention. And that's generally what I see with the insights on our page, is even if it's just like an infographic picture, people will stop and share that or read it more than they would share an entire post with that same information if it didn't have a picture. So sometimes making a picture makes it all worth it. So you're like, well, at our school, Facebook and Instagram seem to be the most widely used. Well, if that's the case, then your best bet is just to go into Facebook Business Suite, because now it's connected with Instagram, and every post you make on Facebook that has an image will automatically also post on Instagram if you want it to. So if you have a big following on both of those, then that's your best bet for tying things together and only having to post one time. If, however, you have a big Twitter audience and you want things to go on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or Facebook and Twitter, or Instagram and Twitter, then Hootsuite might be a good option for you. I'm not going to log into my Hootsuite account right this second, just because it would take up time, and I think I really want to get to more of the tools of how to create images. But Hootsuite's another great option for just posting one time to multiple platforms. So if you've not ever tried it out before, it's pretty easy to figure out once you get yourself an account set up in there. But the most important part of telling your school story is branding your school. And so you need to have a hashtag that's unique to your school or your district, and put that hashtag on every single post you make about your school. Our school hashtag is Lead, Learn, Roar. It's been our vision statement now for 9 years. And so it goes on every single post that we make about our school. We always have that hashtag on there. Our district also has a hashtag. So a lot of times if it's a post that would apply, like it's something we want to celebrate with the district, or we want people from the district to see it, we would also add that hashtag to it as well. If it's just information for students at Lakewood Elementary, though, I don't always put that one on there. You can also encourage other people to use your hashtag when they're sharing positive news about your school. Obviously, you won't want your hashtag showing up on a complaint about your school, but if they're going to share something happy that happened that day at school, you can encourage them to use that hashtag as well. You can adjust your hashtag yearly, but try to make sure that that message stays for at least a whole year at a time, so that people can easily search your hashtag for that year and find posts about your school. Now, as I said, ours has been the same for a very long time, and it's probably about time to look into changing it, but that's been our vision statement for that amount of time too. But you can change your hashtags up if you want to. And just make sure it sticks for a good long period of time. When you're doing images across platforms, like say you do have a school Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, it's really important to have the same profile picture on all those platforms. As you can imagine, there's a Lakewood Elementary in all 50 states in the United States. So I want to make sure that when people find Lakewood Elementary in Cecilia, Kentucky, that they find the correct one on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And so we try to use that same profile picture for all 3 platforms when we can. That helps savvy internet users know which ones that they followed the correct school. Cover photos do require different dimensions, but you want to try to keep the same message across those platforms. If you have Canva, it will automatically change those dimensions for you for your cover photos for all the platforms if you have a subscription to Canva. And I do have a subscription to Canva because it makes my life easier changing those dimensions on those cover photos. You can change them manually as well without a subscription. You just have to know what those dimensions are. So let's look at some different apps that I use, because I will be honest, I almost exclusively manage my Facebook and Class Dojo from my iPhone. I rarely ever get on a desktop or laptop to work on social media. Most of the time I use these some of these platforms, and unfortunately, because I left my cord at home today, I'm not able to hook my iPhone up where you can see my screen directly on the Zoom meeting. But I will do my best to show you a little bit of the features of them here on the desktop, and then hopefully we'll be able to show you a couple of things from my iPhone screen in front of the camera. But 2 of these are ones that you can use from your desktop. The first one being Canva. And so, as I said, Canva is one of my favorite tools to use, and you can get an account with your Google account, so it's Google single sign-on. And you can make all kinds of different images on Canva to load to your social media. So we're just going to look at this one right here. This is one I use every single week on Class Dojo and Facebook and Instagram. and it's just our weekly newsletter. And all I have to do each week is go in and change what's happening for that week, change the date, and then I just download it as a PNG and pop it onto Instagram, Class Dojo, and Facebook. And it only takes me a couple seconds to do that because Instagram and Facebook share that business suite, and then Class Dojo, if you've used it, it's very simple to use as well. I can do that from my phone or from my desktop for Canva. But Canva has the ability to make lots of different kinds of images. It has pre-made sizes, templates for all of the different social media. If you're a Class Dojo user, you might want to use an Instagram post because the dimensions are very similar and it'll look the best on your Class Dojo feed. And then you can also make banners for different forms that you have at your school. You can use your cover photos on your different social media platforms, but you can make all different sorts of announcements on here. And we've even used it to make infographics to post about surveys from our school, and we post those on social media as a PDF link so that families can go and see what the results of those surveys were. So Canva has lots and lots of options. Another tool that some people don't realize even exists for posting to social media is you can use Google Slides to make an image. So if you have something that you've created on a Google slide, all you have to do is go to File, Download as JPEG or PNG, and it'll download just that singular slide as an image that you can put on your social media. So one of the ones that I've done that way is this little snowman 7 habits snow day challenge. That's just a Google slide that was created in Google Slides really easily, and I downloaded it as an image and posted it on social media. So Google Slides is a great tool as well. As I shared earlier, another thing that parents will look at something that has a picture more easily than to look at a big paragraph of text. Well, if you want to make that text look pretty fancy without having to go into Canva or something, there's actually an app you can get for your iPhone called Retype. And on Retype, you can take your message and literally retype it over top of a photo with fancy fonts, and then download that to your social media page. So this is what Retype looks like on your phone. You would just tap on those letters, and then you could create your own message there. There's lots of different templates, but you can make a fancy little picture with your word message, and more people are likely to read it just because it's an image rather than an entire paragraph. So that's another great tool you can use right there on your phone. Photo editing apps. Lots of us probably use like Pic Collage. This is Insta Collage, which just makes a collage of pictures that are ready to go for Instagram. This one right here is called Enhance. It also makes picture collages. So those are all apps that you can get on your phone. And then there's another one. This is a paid one called Retouch. If you do a lot of group photos at your school, it may be worth the cost that it is. I don't know how much it is today, but when I bought it, it was like $1.99. But this one allows you to take a group photo and say you have that one kid in the group photo that's not allowed to be in pictures. You can actually blur that child out of the photo and still be able to use that photo for your social media. So Retouch is really great if you do a lot of group photos at your school. And you'll be able to still use those pictures by just retouching them a little bit. Couple of creativity apps. Of course, if you have an iPhone, your phone comes with iMovie, and it has lots of different templates and features that you can use to make a short video for your families. But one that's really kind of fun is My Talking Pet. And so it's a free app. And when you go into My Talking Pet, you get a choice of lots of different animals that you can have talk. Our school mascot is a Bruin, so I'm going to pick the little bear right here. And you can actually dress your bear. So if I wanted to, I could add a graduation hat to my bear, and then I can have him do a message about graduation. You can see his eyes actually move and everything. And when I hit record, his mouth will actually move as well. And he can record a message that I can then upload to social media with a little bear talking. And people obviously will click on that because it's cute and it's fun. And so My Talking Pet is a free app that will allow you to create short little videos to give messages to people. Obviously, with social media, we don't want it to be a one-way street where we're just giving information out to people. We want to engage our social media audience. So some ways to do that, I've got a couple ideas here. You can do some at-home challenges. And of course, a lot of us have kind of picked those up in the last year and a half to 2 years with NTI and quarantine and that kind of thing, is just finding ways for parents to post pictures of what's going on at home while the kids are at home. We do snow day challenges, like you can see that one there. Having Facebook live sessions is a great way to do two-way communications. So like we have a reading goal in our school, and sometimes we'll have kids do a live video in front of the reading goal, just updating families and community members about how we're working toward that goal. And then sometimes people will chime in with questions about the goal, and we can ask those live with the kids there and help them to answer those for families on that Facebook live session. Or if we're having a parent involvement event, we might go live and then let people ask questions about the event and how much longer it's going to be there if they want to come on out and join us. So Facebook live sessions are great. Surveys obviously allow for two-way communication. I think families get overwhelmed with surveys though if you ask too many of them. So we try to only put on the ones that are absolutely required, but we always link those up on social media. And then all of the social media platforms, or most of them, have a way to create events and send invites to people. Facebook does that for sure, and so does Class Dojo. So I encourage you to use that because it'll keep reminding people of your event. If you've ever clicked, I might attend something on Facebook, you'll know that on your phone, if you have notifications turned on, you'll keep getting notifications. Hey, that event you're interested in is happening such and such night at this time. And so if you're having those kind of events at your school, then you can also set that up to do that with Facebook and Class Dojo for your school events. And the final conversation with social media is, what settings do you use and how much time do you give to social media? So the answer to that is that's individual to each school. I allow all comments on our Facebook and Class Dojo, but I watch it constantly. So I have notifications set up on my phone and my watch that anytime someone posts, I can immediately respond to that. And if it's a negative post, which we get very few of, we got more when we first started, but now that people know that the purpose of our social media is to have a positive presence about our school, we get very few negative comments. But in the event that we do, I always call the person and ask them to kindly take the comment down on their own. And if they don't, then I'll just delete it and explain to them why I did. But I always give them a phone call to tell them I'm going to be deleting their comment because it does not put our school in a positive light. And that if they have an issue, it's better to address it in person at the school than through social media. So, if you have a huge contingency of people that are going to be negative on social media, then you might need to turn the comments off. Or if it's something really controversial, you can turn those comments off. You can also set the comments to exclude certain words. So you can set up a rule where if the comment includes these words, it will not show up so that other people can see it. Only the person in charge of the site would be able to see it. You can set up a messenger and in Class Dojo and on Facebook to only allow those to come through at certain times. It'll automatically send a message to people that says the person that responds to these messages is only available from 8 to 5 daily. All messages will be responded to within 24 hours, just so that parents and community members that are messaging you will know that you do respond, but it may not be immediately. So those are just some of the things you have to think about. If you are going to have a Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, I certainly recommend having a team of people to be the administrators of that page so that you're not the only person having to constantly filter and look at those comments. So at our school, the assistant principal and the library media specialist also have rights to that page. And if I'm out of town or doing something, then I'll ask them, hey, please make sure and watch those comments and messages to make sure that they're responded to in a timely manner. All right, so I know I went through all of that information super fast, but I wanted to have some time at the end for anybody to share your favorite social media tips, tricks, and to have time for questions.
I'll share my favorite site for images that are royalty free, Creative Commons 0.
Oh yeah.
It is unsplash.com. I'm putting it in the chat.
Unsplash.com.
These photos are ones that people have shared and you're allowed to use however you want. You don't, it's always nice to give a citation of where you got it from. Sometimes I do that with just a little text box at the bottom or the corner of the image and, kind of make it like a little watermark, but you don't, according to the license, you don't actually have to do that. So if you need a image that you can just use and not have to worry about citations, that's a good site to go to.
Awesome. Thank you, James. Mr. Library Media Specialist himself would know all of those tips and tricks. Any other questions or input on what you do to keep your page up or who helps you with that? All righty. Well, I think there's just one session left today. Is that correct, James?
Yeah, I think there's it said bonus session on the description there. So
awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody listening in today. And if you do think of any questions later, feel free to reach out to me by email. I'll be happy to chat with you in email or give you a call or whatever makes it easiest for you. Have a great day, everybody.
thank you.